Hey, what's up, everybody? Friday night. Welcome to Tone Talk with Mark Uzansky and Dave Friedman. We've got a fantastic guest tonight, Josh Fiden.
Fiden.
Was going to fuck that up. Fiden. Okay. Josh Fiden from Voodoo Lab. How you doing, Josh?
I'm awesome. About to enjoy some wine.
Yeah, I'm about to do that myself. Dave, what's happening?
Not much. It's the wine, cheese, or charcuterie tray version of Tone Talk tonight.
Yeah,
So we will be munching on charcuterie trays here.
I know. We should do a little show and tell.
We got a.
Yeah,
I don't know if I can hold mine up well enough to.
Little prosciutto, little pepper salami.
Yep.
Very nice.
I have.
Oh yeah, here's what I did. I mixed up. This is a little truffle honey.
5 kinds of cheese.
Ooh, truffle honey.
Yeah. Just some honey and some truffle infused olive oil. Mix them together.
Yeah,
I have onion jam.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good. It's always nice to have something a little sweet. You know.
Yeah, that's what I have. I've got a little sweet something right over here.
And then, of course, we have the rosemary raisin cracker thing.
Awesome.
We're only talking about wine and cheese tonight. No products, no nothing.
Yeah,
so
now
you guys want to tune out, feel free.
Yeah, we can. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we'll touch on some gear later if we get bored.
Maybe. Well,
Josh was kind enough to send us. Well, you tell Josh. You tell what you sent us.
What did I send? I forgot, but it's
Turley.
I sent you guys some Turleys. I think they're a 2013. What is it? A Kirshen bomb or something? I can't.
2013
Kirshen Vineyard.
Yeah, it's one of their single vineyards. Yeah, and I only had 2 of those, so that's what I sent to you guys. And then I got a 2015 Cedarman from Howell Mountain, which is in Napa.
Well, cheers. I'm gonna.
And hopefully they're good, but they probably are
good.
And I looked for. I'm at home. I'm actually in my little basement lab, and if this thing wouldn't shake so much, I'd spin it around so you could see I'm sitting behind my Bronco. But and then let's see, can we see this? Can you read that? Yeah, there we go. So I have a Turley glass because I couldn't find a Voodoo Lab glass.
Yeah, we have the Voodoo Lab glasses.
yeah, you guys get the swanky stuff. So
now, for any of you that know or don't know, Josh always has at NAMM shows. Josh always has the secret wine layer. Behind the scenes.
Yeah,
that people in the know partake in.
and that is true. But we have known each other long enough that you remember because we moved the company in 1998 up to Northern California into Sonoma County wine country. And prior to 1998, I was heavily into beer making.
Yes.
And I'm sure you remember
it switched. It switched from beer to wine when he moved.
Exactly.
But he would have his own microbrewed beer at the NAMM show, which was awesome also.
Yeah, there was I remember, I don't know if you remember, there was I used to make I'm not really into adulterated things, but I used to make this peach flavored Belgian that people went crazy for. And so I would always bring a big stack of 22s of that to NAMM. And it was very popular.
Good. And I think I've realized that my daughter's pretty into beer, new beers, I call them.
Yeah.
And I've realized that I'm really more into the European beer than the, shall we say, new American style IPAs and different things. I think they've gone too far.
Yeah,
too bitter.
And they're after a while they're a little much for me. You go to Germany and you go sit down in Germany and what kind of beer you have? Well, we have these different, every place has their own beer.
Right.
And then they have, a Kolsch or a Pilsner or a, it's very simplistic.
Yeah.
And great.
Right, the
So-
Dunkelweiss or whatever, you know, they have,
Yeah.
they have the different types of beer.
Yeah.
There's not that many of them, and for the most part, you drink the beer that's made in that town.
Exactly.
Exactly. You know,
which is fun. Yeah, you know, when I was doing the whole homebrewing thing, I got into that typical, like, I'm gonna make the hoppiest beer that's ever been made in the universe, you know.
Yeah.
and I just went down that road of, you know, IPA, double IPA. Okay, how high in alcohol can it be, and how much hops can you put in it? And I ended up totally burning myself out on that. And that's, I mean, what you call in new beers, that's a lot of the styles now.
Yeah.
And I think I just ran through that, and it's not interesting anymore.
Yeah.
So,
hey, by the way, we got a super chat from Sloppy Fingers. Thank you. Hey guys, I'm gonna have sloppy fingers, by the way, by the end of the show.
Yep.
Tom Jarrett from Kingsley. Hey,
you have
wait,
Simon
I'm no good. What's wrong with me?
The guy's a genius, and his preamp pedals are sublime. Oh, I ditched my Mesa, I should say. I was going to say it wrong. My Mesa DR.
You still said it wrong.
Mesa? Mesa?
Mesa.
Mesa? I don't know.
One day, Mark.
No, it's never going to happen. It's just my New York accent.
Yeah.
He may get an SLO 30. Sweet. Very cool. Well, thanks for the super chat.
Thank you.
Well,
And I want to say hi to everybody who's watching. And yeah, this is really good, man. I ordered from like my local cheese place. They have all this, you know, meat. And so, Dave, what kind of cheese did you get?
Well, here's the thing. Before we get into the gear and talking about the history and all this stuff, let's just get this shit over with. So what kind of cheese is on my plate is the question. And so I wrote it down. I got a notebook here because I had to write it down because once I open it, I won't remember. So we got Devil's Gulch. We got Drunken Goat.
oh, nice.
Saint Andre Triple Cream.
Oh, very nice.
We got the typical Borson garlic herb goat cheese thing.
Got it right here.
Sartari herbs de Provence, and we got Humboldt Fog Cypress Grove.
Perfect.
And you know, various salamis and prosciutto and onion jam from Whole Foods.
I completely approve. Excellent choice.
Well, it does help a little bit when your daughter works for Whole Foods in the specialties department, which is the cheese, beer, and liquor.
Oh, man. Good luck out.
Yeah. So she hooked you up.
So then we get discounts.
Even better.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, mine is
Well, and I got olives here too somewhere.
Oh yeah.
I got
Gotta have the olives.
Bailey Hazen Blue from Vermont.
Okay.
That was my, and then I have what was the other one? It's just Parm. It's
you have more of a Italian, like a traditional Italian sort of tray.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a Parmesan Reggiano.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got the meats and so anyway, dude, Josh, I love Voodoo Lab. I've been a Voodoo Lab fan for years.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, seriously.
Cool. I appreciate it.
When did you start? When did you start Voodoo Lab?
I actually started the company in the official beginning was January of 1986, and started out doing keyboard stuff back then.
Digital Music Corporation.
Yes, exactly. It was Digital Music Corporation. We when we started doing pedal effects, Digital Music seemed like a really stupid name for analog pedals. And so that's when I started using Voodoo Lab, and so up until I don't know, late 90s, I guess. We actually used both names until it was just, you just couldn't deal with answering the phone anymore because you just couldn't do it right. And people were, you'd answer the phone and people were just always confused because whatever you said, oh, this isn't Voodoo Lab. Oh, this isn't digital music. So, and and then once at that point, we really weren't doing much with the keyboard products anymore. So it was like, you know what, let's just rebrand the switch, because it was the switching systems, ground control, GCX were still digital music. And it's like, let's just rebrand those Voodoo Lab and leave the old name behind. And then at least we can answer the phone without confusion. So that's really what happened. But basically it was 1986. And I mean, the big product we did back then was an MX8 MIDI patch bay processing thing that was super popular. Had a bunch of great guys using them. And then in 1990, just decided, I just can't get excited about keyboard stuff. I mean, it was just something I got into because I knew keyboard players, and it was something that it seemed like there was a need for it. But in 1990, then I did the first thing was the ground control, and which was an easy transition because I was already doing all this keyboard MIDI stuff, and I mean that was actually a funny story. My roommate, Sal Paulsino, hi Sal, if you ever see this, he had gotten a quad reverb, and so I was messing around with quad reverb, had it sitting on top of my Princeton, and walking over and punching buttons, and like all of a sudden the light went on, like, wow, to use one of these as a guitar player you need a foot controller. And so then I kind of researched that and just thought, oh, I think there was a couple really simple things, and oh god, I can't even remember what the stuff was back then. There was one that was kind of popular, but dear God, it was so difficult to use. It had like a little. You remember what it was? There was one that had like a little box that you plugged into it to program it. It was kind of intense.
Oh, I don't know that. I don't know that.
Yeah, you had to like program it.
Early things I remember were like
ADA with the red buttons.
ADA MIDI controller, the Rocktron one, the MIDI Mate.
The MIDI Mate came a little bit later. Yeah,
maybe a little bit later. And then there was there was a couple weird ones from Yamaha that were out. There was the MFC. Oh, the Rockman, the thing with the big square buttons.
Yeah. Oh man, did I not bring any napkins down here? Oh well. Oh wait, hey, aren't we? I gotta get a couple gags out of the way. Aren't we supposed to be wearing masks for this? I mean, yeah.
We are.
It's dark.
We couldn't have our cheese on.
I know. That's true. Yeah. I really wanted to do this out in the treehouse, and it just seemed like a great idea until it dawned on me that it's pitch dark and it's raining today, so that would make it. And it's butt cold, so that would make it less fun. But
not good.
Yeah, if it's and in the dark, it's not it's not like scenic or anything. But I actually live out in the woods, and so the neighbors aren't that close. So
beautiful.
I don't need a mask, and I don't really like people.
And this, by the way, I do believe, people, is Josh's first on-camera interview ever.
Yeah, pretty. I mean, other than somebody sneaking up on me for a minute at NAMM.
At NAMM?
Yeah, but that's just where they run over and stick something in your face and say, "What's new?" But yeah, and you guys ran into me at Nashville, and I guess asked if I wanted to do this, and I don't remember what I said, but I think it was in LA. Actually. Yeah, I probably grunted at you.
Yeah, I think you probably did, and then unfortunately James Santiago talked you into it.
Yeah. I would say it's not as much he talked me into it. He basically said, I signed you up, so you're doing it.
Forced you into it.
Yeah, kind of. And
yeah, but you have to realize that Josh and I go back a really long way. So when did I first meet you?
Yeah, it's funny because because we were doing this, I was thinking about it, and yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure it was 1992. Does that sound about right?
Was that late even? I don't know.
You know, I mean, it was.
It might have been a little bit earlier when I first started like messing with the products and stuff.
Well, we had the reason why I'm thinking it was then because the ground control, we started shipping those in 91, and in 92 was when I was really working on the GCX switcher, and I
was around for that for sure.
Yeah, and that's the first thing I remember really talking. I mean, did we meet before then? It's possible. My recollection at the time was that you were, of course, you're building racks and stuff, but I think you were working out of making music where Wagner was at the time, right?
Yes, that would have been early 90s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I remember, because I remember that was when the whole switching system thing was just sort of a twinkle, and at the time, the guys that I kind of thought I should talk to and see what what their ideas were, and it was I remember I went and talked to Brian Swordfager, who he was working out of the back of West LA Music, building racks there at the time. And then you were over at Macon. I talked to him, and then I talked to you, and then we actually ended up working on it pretty closely. I mean,
I mean all the early stuff we worked when you were developing the GCX. That was really working on it.
Yeah. I mean, we did the buffer together, and tweaking that.
The buffer, and we played with different kinds of relays, and
and trying to find the quietest relays and build the stubbers down
and discuss the grounding of how it could be, because every loop in a GCX is isolated from each other.
Yep.
Which can be great because you can use it for a variety of things.
Oh, man.
No napkin.
I'm looking for a napkin, and
in that case,
wait, hold on. I'll be back in 10 seconds. I'm going to get a shop towel.
No problem.
There you go.
No problem. We got a super chat from what's his face. Dave, noticed you had a Waza Craft Tube amp expander in previous videos. Your thoughts on it and how it compares to the aux. Love Tone Talk videos. Thanks, man.
I had it in previous videos. Maybe it was just sitting there.
I don't remember seeing it, but
I think it sounds great. There might be some questionable.
Stylish.
There could possibly be some questionable things about the load in it, but I'm not going to go on record in saying that. So
you just don't know.
Yeah, I don't have a yeah. Some questions have been brought up about it.
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah.
What I miss?
Well, we were talking about the Waza Craft tube amp expander
versus the aux.
Yeah.
But I love the aux. I think
yes.
James Santiago did an amazing
job.
The
two perfectly safe loads that are available are the Fryat and the Sir. That are the proper speaker curves. Those are verbatim a proper speaker impedance curve.
Yeah. And, that doesn't surprise me because those are two guys that know what they're doing. So go figure.
So we'll leave that at that.
Yeah, I do love the aux. James did. I mean,
Knox is
considering
cool.
yeah, James is obviously one of my closest friends, and man, he was tight-lipped about the ox. I did, and I remember it was pretty far along before he finally gave me a peek of that, and I was blown away. I was really blown away.
It's awesome. I can't wait for whatever they have coming up next.
Yeah.
I'm sure they got something because, well, he said they have something. He just didn't allude to what.
Yeah.
So how'd you come up with the name Voodoo Lab?
That is a very interesting question, which I have pondered at length myself. The honest answer is that I have no idea whatsoever. But and so I've tried to kind of recreate that, and the only thing I could think of, I think it was maybe subliminal, because I believe around the time that I took on that name, the Stones were doing the Voodoo Lounge reunion tour, and I saw the show, which was great, by the way. And I saw the show, and I just think I must have had Voodoo Lounge in the back of my head, and somehow that just came out. I don't know. That's the only thing I could come up with.
Okay, and then you ran with it with the scary good tone.
Yeah, scary good. Well, yeah, scary good tone. That was sort of an offshoot of our mascot. Because Voodoo Labs, we did the Voodoo doll, which it's on all the lots of stuff. The Voodoo doll is kind of funny. That I actually found on a website that of a woman that actually made voodoo dolls.
Really?
and so that was a real voodoo doll that we stole, and then Mark Schur, who does all of our graphics and such. Oh, and Mark's son Keenan is a tremendous talent, and we lost Dave. And so I will say that this shirt is one of Keenan's artwork. So which I love because I like clowns, and maybe because I am one. But yeah, so then Mark just took this actual photo of a voodoo doll and kind of stylized it into our mascot, who you look at some of our product names, they're super creative. Like, we have a tremolo pedal, so what do we call it? Tremolo. The original Overdrive. Let's see, let's come up with a good name for that. Why don't we call it Overdrive? So
I liked it. I thought it was very, it was clear. Boom, this is what it is.
Yeah, bam. You know what? Yeah, you know what it is. And so the mascot. So his name was just Scary Guy, and so Scary Good Tone as a tagline sort of flowed out of that. Oh, I wish I had a Proctavia handy, because that's a little bit of a break from naming things just what they are. And officially, we have always told people when they ask that it's called Proctavia because it's a Pro Octavia, but that's actually that's not the case at all. It's Proctavia. It's totally an anal reference, and if you look at the graphic on the pedal, it's those little brown swirls on it.
I do believe I had something to do with that name too.
Yeah, those are sphincters. Those are sphincters. Yeah, I honestly I kind of thought Moosh came up with that name because that sounds like something he would do. But that was sort of a working title for it while we were working on it, and then after a while you get so used to calling when you call something a name around the office. And then you come around to, it's like, well, I can't really think of it as anything else, so let's just run with it.
Because we worked on all that stuff.
Pretty much. The one I remember that
Tremolo.
The tremolo. That's a funny story, because remember that was in Nashville, and I had the original tremolo prototype, and it was right before the Nashville show, and we were over at Dave Wilkerson's shop, Techstar Services.
Yeah.
And we played it there, and it was actually Wilkerson who was like, no, and he pulled out a it was Bob Bradshaw's half rack tremolo.
Mm-hmm.
And he pulled that out, and we played it, and we played them side by side, and it was like, oh yeah, that sounds way better than mine. and then I think then it was you and I tweaked it.
Yeah.
I just set up on one of the benches at Techstar and just
we sat there and played with it.
Yeah, with a soldering iron and a pile of parts, and I just tweaked it, having the sound in my head of what was wrong with it, on how it, how it should like kind of ramp up and hang a little bit.
Yeah, it's not that we took apart the other tremolo or anything. It was just about how the
we just
the
listened
vibe
to it.
of the sound of it.
That's right. Yeah. We didn't look. Yeah, we didn't look at the design at all. It was just a matter of. I mean, very literally, it was listening to. It was the way it ramped up. It had kind of a quick ramp up and a little bit of hang time there, and then a more gentle decay to it, and it just sounded way more musical. And so then I just tweaked it to with that sound in my head until we all kind of agreed. And we actually still have that tremolo at the office. I don't know if you remember, we put a piece of masking tape on it and we wrote God on it. So then we would know when we got back to the shop and we went into production. It's like, it has to be exactly like God.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was fun. But the other one I remember that we worked on was the Microvibe.
Love that pedal.
Yeah, and I mean, you remember you had got the first thing I did with that was listening to a couple original Univibes, and man, finding a good original Univibe is rough.
Yeah, and I had been selling prescription electronics Univibes that were done by
Bob Sweet.
Bob Sweet.
Yeah,
and they were clones of original, Univibe circuits, and they were pretty great sounding, and we picked out some good ones. Yeah. Actually, whenever we got a batch of those in, we would pick out the best ones.
Yeah.
And you could trim them a little differently, so you could trim it into sort of being better. So every time we got them in, we hand trimmed them ourselves to ear.
Yeah.
And just to be as good as they could be.
Yeah. And so like I'd want to say that, the Microvibe, it's dead on an original Univibe. And while I would say that that's generally true, the fact is that what it was modeled after, I totally remember us. Yeah. We were sitting on the floor of your shop with a big pile of prescription Vibe units, and we just played them all. And we picked out the best one, and you tweaked it up a little bit, and I ended up taking that one back with me, and that was the God unit for what the Microvibe needed to sound like, and then we just beat on that until it was. I mean, but of course, even with Microvibe, any of them where you actually have an incandescent lamp and the photocells, they're all going to be a little different. There's no way around it. So
yeah.
But how many pedals actually use that as opposed to some other false way of creating the vote?
Not many.
Yeah.
Oh, as far as Univibes go?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, full tone Univibes do. I mean, the Sweet Sound ones did. Actually, most do. If it's a Univibe, it's kind of hard to do it any other way.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say, well, the good ones do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
exactly.
That actually was the original goal. I mean, because two things. I wanted to make it run on a lot lower power and run on 9 volts, which obviously Univibes don't, and shrink the size down. And I was able to make some circuit changes, but still emulate exactly what the original discrete transistor circuit did. And that you could do and still get it, you know, dead on by using the same passives and the same passive values.
Yeah.
But I tried really hard to get rid of the lamp and the photocells, and it was just not worth it. It just wasn't worth it. You know, finally it was like, this is never going to be really right. So,
well, that's a great pedal. The other one that I have, I need to get.
Made?
Yeah,
I have to get another Microvibe.
I don't see it very often.
Sparkledrive.
yeah, the Spark. Yeah, I love the
That
Spark.
wasn't me.
No, that was after we moved up north.
Yeah.
That's James, right? James Santiago working with us, I think he said.
Well, here's what James did. What James did was we were chatting on the phone, and we were talking. He was telling me how he was messing around with blending together different pedals and blending just a clean sound with different pedals and kind of messing around with that. And so I grabbed one of our infamous to Dave, the mini mixer. No, we didn't call it. What did we call ours?
Yeah,
I can't even remember.
I think you did call it the mini mixer.
Did we call it a mini mixer?
I think so.
Wait, it was a System Mix Plus was the big. No, it was just a System Mix. That's what it was called.
Okay.
Ooh, I shouldn't have said mini mixer. Ooh, ouch. Anyway, shortly discontinued. Still feel bad. Never mind. Anyway, but so I grabbed a System Mix and a TS-808, and the thing was I never really liked tube screamers, you know, because I just like the sound of amps, you know, and I like the way they sound. I'm a big fan of of deluxe reverbs, and the thing to me about tube screamers is it always sounds like a tube screamer, and so by playing with that and by blending in the clean sound with it, you know, it seemed like, wow, you really got the best of both worlds, where you still get to hear the amp, but you still get the tube screamer in there also. And I didn't really like with the way tube screamers, you know, the way they're super compressed, and so you lose all the like pick attack, and a lot of the dynamics go away. And by blending in some of the clean sound, then you put all that stuff back in. But honestly, I think my real innovation with the with that is instead of having a mix control on it, which you certainly could have done, and you could have the direct signal right and the tube screamer and just have a mix control and blend them. And while okay, that's exactly what it is. But I believe that my true innovation in this pedal was to wire the pot backwards and call it a clean control. So when you turn it up, instead of getting more tube screamer, you get more clean. Yeah. and
Some innovation.
Well, you know what? I mean, it's funny, but my view of that is it completely changes how you think about it. Because you're because now it's a tube screamer that you're blending back in some of the clean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you think about it differently than if it just had a mix control and you turned it up and you got more distortion. So
was that an accident, or you did it on purpose?
Oh no, I totally did it on purpose.
Okay. I just wasn't sure if you wired.
No, that was that was there are lots of accidents, but that one wasn't one. And then wait, I have one here. Is a here we go. And then we have the latest incarnation of that, although it's not. Hey, I got big. Anyway, so this is the Sparkledrive Mod, which basically it's the same controls as a Sparkledrive, but then it has this little mod. It's a 4-position rotary switch, and so basically it's just 4 different sounds. It was, you know, so many it had gotten really popular for people to mod
Shockingly
tube
green
screamers.
color.
I mean, not well, obviously tube screamers, but also to mod sparkle drives with the tube screamer mods to it, because it's just a straight 808 circuit in it. You know, give it a little bit more gain and, you know, change the EQ a little bit. And so I thought, well, that'll be fun. Why don't we just do that? So, you know, so the 0 setting is still a stock 808, and then 1 and 2 are you know, just mods basically, you know, more gain and things that are common to what other guys were doing to them. And then 3, because, you know, how many different modified tube screamers do you need? So the 4th setting is just something just totally off. You know, it's a little more of a higher gain scoop mid thing, just because it was fun.
So with the clean all the way down on here,
that's an 808.
Just a straight 808.
Yep, dead on.
Sweet. Okay, didn't know that. Okay.
Yep.
And the other thing you inadvertently made there was a unbelievably good bass overdrive pedal. The Sparkledrive,
yeah,
is unbelievable on bass.
Really?
Well, yeah, because you have the clean knob.
Oh, that's right.
So it passes the clean, unadulterated thing, and you're blending in a distorted sound, which is pretty much what every bass player does, or at least rock bass players. You know, they have 2 rigs sometimes where they blend in a super high pass distorted sound with the big SVT or something. You know, and works great. Works great for bass.
Yeah, one of the things I really like about the Sparkledrive, you know, because of the clean, is because the overdrive part of it, of course, is all compressed, you know, and you get a certain volume out of it. So it's sort of interesting that it decays kind of backwards from a normal, you know, like what a normal overdrive would do, because you hit it hard, and if you set it right, you get the volume coming out of it from the clean side of it, and then as the guitar decays down, it decays into the fuzzy distorted overdrive. So I think it has a super cool decay to it, you know, where it decays into this fuzziness. So yeah, that's fun. And yeah, we've seen a lot of keyboard players over the years like them too. It's an interesting. It's been a good thing. Yeah.
Dan Pfeiffer wrote something funny on here. Because what's with this highbrow shit? We've come a long way since the Jake episode. Well, you know.
That's great.
It's versatility.
We have
we have other interests other than just
exactly. We're flexible. How about that?
That's right.
Wait till we have someone on that's really into, you know, Josh is probably really into coffee, of course, too.
I'm into coffee.
Yeah, we could also do the same exact thing with coffee.
Well, we could, but man, I remember years ago here there was a place I used to stop in on the way to work for breakfast, and the waitress, she used to just cut me off. You don't want me on too much caffeine.
So John Gerson has a comment here. Love my analog chorus, best faux Leslie ever.
Yeah, that's fine. Just saw that it's been discontinued. Well, yeah. That's pretty old news.
Is it? Oh.
Oh yeah. I actually have. I shouldn't say this, but I will anyway. I have all of the remaining analog choruses. I think I have. I don't know. I have a stash of them. Official NOS analog choruses that I very carefully dole out occasionally to a friend or artist that I deem worthy. but yeah, it was. I mean, that was actually. It wasn't that long after the pedal was released. It was in the later '90s. It's funny because that one used the the Panasonic bucket brigades, and well, I mean that's what everybody was using at the time in the late '90s, and I will never forget the phone call where the Panasonic rep, he called me and he said, we're discontinuing them. So you can make a last time buy up to, I don't know, October or something, and you have to take delivery by, so many months after that. And I was freaking out. I'm like, you got to be kidding. Aren't people freaking out? I mean, and he said, you're the only person I had to call.
Wow.
And I think, well, he was the West Coast guy, so I guess there could have been other calls. But I think it was probably because we were the only ones that were building enough of them that we were buying direct from Panasonic. And because you could buy them at the time, through like Mauser or DigiKey or something. So they were doing that. But I actually bought quite a crap load of them. I don't remember how many.
I bet.
But I bought quite a bit, and we made them for years after that until we finally ran out of parts. But I don't know when that's been. I mean, I'm sure it's been at least 10 years. So I don't know. Occasion. I mean, now there's obviously there's bucket brigades that have come out since, like the Cool Audio guys. Cool Audio. I think those are made by Behringer actually. So I don't know. Occasionally we toy with the idea of redesigning it to use. They don't actually make the identical part that I used, but it could be redesigned to use. It's just a different variant of it.
Right.
But I don't know. I've been so focused on power supplies for it. It just seems like forever now that I just spend all of my time, sitting in front of a, spectrum analyzer, looking at noise signatures and trying to make it go away. Yeah, if you need like 25 kilos of mu metal, I have it. And thank God we ended up.
So now you've come out with the Pedal Power 3 Plus and Plus, correct? Plus or
That's
Plus
right.
is just coming now.
We did the
along with the expander.
Yes, the X4, which we started selling the X4. I think we released that actually about 2 years ago. And the X4 comes with an adapter, so you can use it as a standalone supply. Here, wait, I'll grab I love these. Have to unbury things. Here, see, I'm gonna do a little show and tell. See, here's a gig bag. It's covered with metal shavings and crap, but if you actually bought one, it doesn't come that way. Although, if you wanted to pay extra, I could. That's my.
I could do that for it.
Basement shop relicking version.
That's how you sell off your demo gear.
Yep, eBay.
Personal collection of.
Yeah. I mean, this is my my COVID shop now. So I'm actually in my. I'm gonna apologize in advance that my iPad is gonna probably shake all over the place. But let's see if I can just give a quick peek so you can see where I am. Let's see, can we see that? Yeah. So that's my 73 Bronco, and there we go. There's a KX85 there, and this is actually the 302 that I built for the Bronco. And if John, did I get that back in the right spot? And if John Clark is listening, he's laughing right now because he remembers building that motor. Stop vibrating. Because I built it when we were still in the Petaluma shop, which we moved from in 2005. And I haven't actually put the motor in the Bronco, but I'm really working up to it. It's going to happen any minute.
15 years.
Some projects go slow. Actually, now my daughter, who's 15, started eyeing it, and she's like, "Dad, can that be my car?" And I try to tell her, you know, a 73 Bronco is worth more than you are. It wasn't when I got it, but
look, every project that you start is going to be a long, drawn out project. This is a long history of long, drawn out projects.
Yeah, there's some truth to that. But wait, I was just gonna.
An update to a ground control.
Okay, it happened. Well, which update? Yeah, whatever. But anyway, so we do have this super cute little. There we go. I love these. This is a Dingbat, and this is the smallest. This one's actually called a Dingbat Tiny, and it has. Is it upside down now? And it has an X4 underneath it, which is a 4 output supply. Does lots of high current. It's totally awesome. And I love these because they're so cute. I mean, to me, this is the kind of pedal board that, you know, you put 4 pedals on it, and it's just like so adorable. You want to snuggle with it, and if you don't have a girlfriend, you can sleep next to it, and you know.
I'm sure there's plenty of viewers out there that will actually understand this whole line of thinking.
Well, are you trying to sell it to bass players?
Yeah.
He's trying to sell it to bass players.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're alone.
Equal opportunity, man. Yeah, bass players are allowed to use pedals. It's totally cool. But you know what? Here, let me say. Here's one thing: is well, this is the little teeny one. You know, we have a handful of different sizes of dingbats, but the people have wondered why it's called dingbat. And there actually is a real reason. The first thing that people usually think of, if they remember, is All in the Family. That who was it? Edith Bunker, right? That they call
Dingbat.
That they call Dingbat. That or the font, right? There's the font with all the weird little characters that are dingbats. But in fact, the reason why it's called a dingbat, and I don't know how to pull up a picture easily. Maybe you guys can. Anyway, if you Google Dingbat apartment, and Dave will be very familiar with these because they're totally all. If you saw a picture, you go, "Oh yeah, those," because they're all over the valley. And it's these apartments that it basically looks like a box, and it's got like 2 parking spaces underneath, and pretty much a rectangular box on top. That's the apartment. Yeah. They have them like all over like Northridge and stuff.
The parking is at the front of the building, the 2 underneath or 4 or something.
You mean like these?
Yep.
Exactly. That's it. That's a dingbat. So those are dingbat apartments. And so my thought about the pedal board is it's like, wow, it's like a dingbat.
The stuff underneath.
Yeah, exactly. You put your pedals on top, so that's like where you live. Mm-hmm. And then the garage is where you put all the cables and your power supply.
Yeah.
So that is in fact why it's called a dingbat.
That makes sense.
Now, I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, and if I was clever, I'd actually write that down somewhere because nobody really knows this. like so many oddball things.
Yeah, post like a picture of some kind of building or something and say this is why we did it.
Yeah. Or whatever. Yeah, they're doing okay. I'm happy.
That's cool.
Hey,
did you guys? There's a question from. Oh no, this wasn't the one yet. I'll get to that one. Deja Blue. Hey, Dave and Josh. What are your thoughts on the AKM Factory Fire and its effect on the industry? Time to invest in Cirrus Logic. LOL. Did you guys hear about this fire? Robert Keeley posted about it and said that there was a fire at this factory and he couldn't get certain chips, so he had to like redo an entire circuit on a new pedal. Because
I'm trying to
I saw something about that from a chip supplier recently about chips are now in short supply, so they're raising all the prices on the stock at hand. I don't know. I don't know what chips are made at the AKM factory.
I know for some reason what's sticking in my mind is they're the ones that took on all those. Oh shoot, what were they? VCAs and stuff that like used. Oh God, who used to do those? We used it for the volume control in the System Mix Plus, and I think they took on some of that. Those kind of oddball analog parts that nobody else was making, but I could be totally wrong. I don't know. I don't source anything from AKM, so I've heard the name, but I'm not on top of it. So
yeah, because Robert Keeley had written.
Oh yeah, AKM Factory Fire. Here it is.
Yeah.
AKM DAC chip factory burns down. Yeah, AKM DDA converters. ADD and DDA,
right.
AKM, yeah.
Yeah,
that is a major issue for someone that's making recording interfaces.
Yeah, right.
For sure,
So that's what it was.
That could be a big problem.
High end ADD converters and stuff. Okay.
Yeah, they make AKM semiconductor. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, that makes sense. So everything I said was wrong.
Yeah, in San Jose, burned down.
Wow.
Well, they're based in Tokyo, Japan, though. But
interesting.
Headquarters in San Jose. Probably in Japan is where they make it, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where the fire was.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
Digital mixers, DVD players, audio workstations, digital audio applications, codecs, audio DACs, low power for portable audio devices. Yeah, pretty much everything.
Well.
Yeah, DSD and SPDIF transmitters and receivers. Yeah, that's a problem.
That's a bummer.
Luckily, we don't make anything digital.
Not at all.
That's good. So this question: did Voodoo Lab set out to be known for killer power supplies, or was pedals, or something else on your original goal?
Oh, okay. First off, it's
Switchers,
not Voodoo Labs. It's Voodoo Lab. No S at the end.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, and my other pet peeve is people that although funny story
people
about
call
that.
Chibas. That's bad.
Yeah, some guy actually had the domain Voodoo Labs, and totally out of the blue, a handful of years ago, he wrote to me and he said, "Hey man, I have this domain Voodoo Labs, and I'm really not using it. Do you want it?" And I'm like, "Yeah." No. And he said, "Okay, I'll just give it to you. You can have it." Which I thought was, how cool was that? I sent him a T-shirt.
That's a nice person out there in this world.
Yeah, I know. I was really surprised. The other one that I hate is when people take voodoo and, well, the worst is when they make it two separate words, voo and do. It's like, what's up with that? Come on, man, get it together. But anyway, now I totally forgot the. Do we set out to make? You know what? The whole. No, I don't set out to do anything. I just meander around randomly. But actually, the inspiration
probably was me.
It was the inspiration for doing the original pedal power was you were building rigs, obviously, and we were hanging out a lot back then, and I remember watching you. You were building. To run pedals, there was always stuff that had to be isolated, for one, either it was noisy or it was reverse polarity or something. Yeah. So there was always something that you couldn't get the pedal board to work if you didn't have, at least
hand drilling power supplies. Yeah.
And so you were hand wiring these, most of the time it was just two outputs, two separate outputs, so there was some stuff that, that you could daisy chain these and they'd be cool, but this needed to be isolated. And I was just looking at that going, oh man, that's a lot of work, that you couldn't just buy an off the shelf supply. And it was from seeing that then I had the idea that it's like, first off, we, having to hand build these is silly. I should make a production unit that does it. Yeah. But the second thing was, and I think this was really the big thing, was seeing that the only way you made these things work was because you had intimate knowledge of what things would play together and what things didn't. And the average guy had no idea about that. And so I thought, well, shit, if I just make a power supply that everything is isolated, then people don't have to know all that. They could just plug it in willy-nilly, everything's isolated, and it solves that problem. And that was really the inspiration to do it. And that was born the original pedal power. And another little funny story, it's too bad, these things happen and you never think that later on they have any significance at all. So, so you don't even like take a picture, or anything. But the very first pedal power that left my shop, do you know who had it?
No.
That was actually Blue Saraceno.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, it was when I very first started making pedals, just totally out of the blue, pun intended. Blues and his dad Alex came by and played and Blues played through all the pedals through I have an old Hiwatt Custom 100 and just fell in love with the pedals at the time. And so Blues and I kind of got to be friends. And so he knew I was working on the power supply, and he came by one time and he's like, "Can I get one?" And it was like, "Well, they're not out yet. I don't have any production ones." And what we ended up doing was, well, I do actually have enough prototype parts to build one. and so I set him up on a desk in a corner of the shop with a soldering iron and all the parts. And Blues built his own pedal power, and that was the very first pedal power that left the shop. It actually had we never went into production that way. Instead of barrel jacks on it, it used the 3.5 millimeter mini plugs. And that's what we had on the very first prototype, and he used that thing for years. But it's just funny. I just you look back on that and it's like, oh man, I so wish I had a picture of Blues sitting soldering together his own pedal power.
That's awesome.
Oh, I wish I had pictures of all sorts of things.
Yeah.
I probably never look at them though, but
no,
it'd be good for social media now.
Exactly. It's like, I mean, that's it. It's with social media, you just want to, you want to post stuff.
I mean,
that,
you think about just the history we've talked about tonight about like helping design all these products with you. Well, yeah, we should have had pictures of that shit too.
I know it's funny. It's like us.
Of course, this was before cell phones, really. So
right.
Right.
Pictures in hand, easy.
Yeah, it would have been a film camera.
Jesus.
I know. I know. But I know it's funny. I mean, it would be great to have a picture of us sitting on the floor of the shop playing all the vibe units,
Yeah. Yeah.
It would have been fun stuff. But
hey, we got a super chat from Daniel Judge. This is a question for Dave. If I use the JJ Junior preamp section with a BE100 power section, how close will I get to a JJ100 amp?
Same. Same. Exactly the same.
Boom. Okay.
I mean, not the clean channel, obviously, because the JJ Junior has like a kind of an abridged clean channel, but the dirty channel will be the same. Oh, here's one for Josh.
Wait, I gotta look.
Herb, you old?
Damn it, I thought I had enough time. I was getting.
Oh, you're good. Take your time.
You're good.
Yeah, a little truffle honey and some prosciutto. That's okay. Here, I'll read while I'm chewing.
Hi there. I have a Voodoo Lab guitar preamp.
Wow.
I heard it was made with Reinhold Bogner. Is it true? I also read that a reissue with MIDI added on this preamp would be made. Any new on this? Thanks.
Okay. Well, yes. That's it. Yes. No. The original, the Voodoo Lab preamp. Yes, I did that with Reinhold. He basically designed all the tube circuit part of it, and they're pretty awesome. And the thing I always remember that was it's like, yeah, we should do something with like the brown sound from that preamp you did, and I remember he built up a prototype with that. I'm like, yeah, I don't like that at all. But anyway, yeah. So he did do the original design, and once there was the reason we stopped building them actually was there was an issue with the chassis design, and it just wasn't very robust. What would happen is a rack would fall over, and it would hit the front of it, and the stuff, just the way the chassis was designed, it would bust a lot of the pots when that would happen, and so kind of redesign the chassis, and it was 3 channels, and so adding MIDI to it, should have had MIDI in it in the first place. And I don't know, I think I probably have a prototype around. Oh my God, talk about projects that take forever. And I actually did. I don't know what's going to happen. I actually did buy 1,012 AX7s, Sovtech WBs for it. A really long. How long ago is that?
A long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I probably bought those tubes like 20 years ago. I mean, now I should just sell the tubes one at a time on eBay. I'd probably clean up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I bought 1,000. So I actually I have 1,000 tubes to build another run of 250 of them. And in all honesty, the situation's been, I have been completely buried in doing the new power supplies, which I guess we didn't. I started mentioning. Oh, did I even? Yeah, I did. I showed you the X4 on the bottom.
Yes, and I said the new power pedal. The pedal
yeah.
power
And there's a little more to say about those, but I've been so buried in doing these power supplies and trying to get these things quiet enough to make me happy, that I really just haven't focused on anything else. So it's sort of weird now. It's almost like a weight has been lifted because they're done, and they're still started trickling out in production. That's that may actually be the very first Pedal Power 3 that shipped of the production ones. I know we're shipping some right now, but I think
Sweetwater has them.
I don't know that they actually have them in stock.
They have
them
3
up.
pluses in stock,
They
but not the 3.
No, the 3s are shipping first, and they may have gotten the 3s already. Oh, that's what it is. You have the first 3 plus that left the building. That's what it is.
Really? I don't.
Really?
So, really?
Really? You don't believe me?
Well, let's see here for a second. That's not even a production. I mean, okay, that's all production parts, but I think, didn't I send you a picture of Kevin, one of my guys, putting it together at his desk? It's like, Kevin, can you find it? Because we actually don't. Oh, that's right. Because we don't have screen chassis for it yet. That was scrounging around finding a prototype chassis to put it in. Because we had the boards and everything made. Anyway, yes, you have the very first one.
He doesn't believe you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't believe. Oh, you're right. I see. It says it's on the way. It's on the way. When is it on the way? So people can buy it when it's there.
Yeah. Well, you know what birthing a new product is like. It's memorable. When they actually.
So when is it?
It's painful also.
When is it shipping?
I don't know.
And the Pedal Power 3 also, right? Are they shipping at the same time?
No, Pedal Power 3. We actually have production units, and that it's just because we're just starting to build them, and it always goes really slow.
Sweetwater doesn't have those either.
Yeah, I know. I know there was the first batch of them got packaged, so they should. The first, it was like a small number, but I think like the first 100 should have left the building this week. Because I know I was just asking Tony. I'm like, you didn't send out serial number 1, did you? Because I want that. And and he's like, no, we held back 1 and 13. John always wants 13. And I think one other. Oh, and 666. we always keep those 3. But that doesn't mean you couldn't have one for a price. or I always thought that's funny. Reinhold, it's like serial number 1, and then I don't know if he continued to do this, but there was a time that if you wanted serial number 1, he just put serial number 1 on it for you.
And then another serial number 1.
Exactly.
And another one.
Exactly. I know. It came up one time. It's like, yeah, I ran into this guy, and I can't remember which, was in an ecstasy or whatever. And it was, I said, yeah, I ran into this guy. He had serial number 1. And that's when he told me that. It's like, yeah, that's not the only serial number 1. But
Super Chicks. Sorry to cut you off, Josh. Super Chicks with a super chat. Good evening, guys. Listen to the new AC/DC when you're done. Loud. Cheers and have an awesome weekend. I will. I haven't heard the new album. I've only heard little bits and pieces of one song so far.
Yeah, and that sounded good.
Yeah, Brian Johnson's voice actually sounded very good.
Yeah, that reminds me is, anybody that knows Dave is robust. I'll just say that. He's robust. He can keep up with anyone. Almost. The only time we have ever partied with somebody that I would say Dave was maybe frightened. Do you know who I'm going to say?
I'm not sure.
It's I'm trying to remember his name, from Canada, the Wizard Amp guy.
Oh, Rick St. Pierre.
Yes. Do you
that was a long
night?
time ago, man.
Yes, it was.
I don't really remember.
It was. There's probably parts of that we wouldn't say in public, but yeah, he every time you turned around, he showed up with another giant pile of shots, and
it's all coming back now.
Yeah, we went from place to place. There were laps involved. And I remember eventually the two of us, we just slipped out. It was just like, we can't do this anymore.
Yeah. When you become more wise is when you just disappear.
Yeah.
That's when you become more wise, and I'm not exactly sure at what point in life that it happens, because occasionally I think you forget. Once in a while you make a mistake and you forget about when you should leave.
Yeah, that was long enough ago. I don't know that was actually wisdom. I think that was just flat out terror of it's just this we met our match.
Yeah, that was we're going way back here though. This is like early 90s. Right? So
yeah, that was
so we're going way, way, way back. So I was a young pup then.
That's right.
Yeah.
Young and mostly fearless.
So I remember distinctly. Speaking of that, I remember distinctly. So I started doing NAMM with sharing the booth with Josh, with Bruce Egnator,
right?
And we would share a booth together. And I remember distinctly several of those NAMM shows being in a lot of pain while being at the booth from the night of drinking the time before. I remember one in particular, God knows what year it was, early 90s, this would have been. The one year in particular, I was out the night before, and at that time, the novelty sort of was Sambuca.
Oh, yes.
And you remember that time, right? So everyone and their brother sees you at the bar, at the Hilton bar at the time, And back when it wasn't in the lobby, when it was in the, you know, the actual bar. And you know, oh, what are you drinking? What are you drinking? Oh, Sambuca.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that turns into like 6, 7, 8, 9 Sambucas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember distinctly having to go. I didn't get sick per se, but waking up with the worst hangover of life, with a truck sitting on your head the whole time, having to show up and talk to people at NAMM.
Yeah.
Oh, joy.
Yeah.
Oh, joy. So I remember it's like aspirin upon aspirin upon, you know, aspirin. Okay, that's not working. Some food. No, that's not working. Fuck it. I'll have a beer. That's still not working. It took all day long till probably about 4 o'clock in the afternoon when the headache finally went away. God knows how many aspirins I actually put down, and at that point you might have been already drunk again though. So
yes, Sambuca that's not a good hangover.
No,
that's not a good hangover. And then you remember
that's the only time that ever happened.
Yeah, and you remember the year we got a hotel room that it was a suite, and it wasn't one of the sanctioned NAMM ones. It was over by Disneyland, and we had a party in that, and they threw us out of the hotel. You actually had you had been drinking. I can't remember what it was. Some kind of whiskey at the show, and it was pretty impressive. And and I think you actually ended up crashing in that room that night.
I don't remember that.
With that doesn't surprise me. With it was actually pretty funny because if I remember right, it was like the 3 you guys in that one, or maybe 2. There were 2 in the bed and 1 on the floor. It was you and James Santiago.
Oh yes, no, I do remember that. It was James Santiago and James's brother or something.
Yeah,
right?
and his brother. And
Cliff. Then I think I slept on the floor in the corner.
Yeah, and we got thrown out of the hotel, and I remember Stevie telling me the next day that he doesn't know what happened. He just remembers waking up in a room in the Hilton with his pants around his ankles, surrounded by wine bottles.
I remember that. Do you remember Jim Choning?
Yes.
Do you remember when we cut off his tie? Were you around then?
I don't remember that. Maybe I wasn't there. That's
okay, so one year, I don't remember what year this was. One year, Jim Choning is still in his suit from NAMM, you know, and he's sitting there drinking in the some hotel room or some suite somewhere we were at, and we're sitting there, and we decided that he shouldn't be wearing a tie, so we took a pair of scissors and cut it off.
Yeah,
well, you know, he was thoroughly amused by that. No, actually, he really was amused by that. He liked it.
Yeah, some of those late nights really went sideways. I remember realizing after the fact, after we got ejected from the Hilton bar because they were closing, and I remember one time walking out of there, running into Reinhold.
Oh, and, there's the problem right there.
Yeah, exactly. And then you know, stuff comes out of your mouth before you realize what that actually means.
Like, sure, I'll go to that party with you.
Yeah, it was. Hey, Reinhold, I got a case of wine in my room. and
oh no,
I can't remember if you were there for that
one. That essentially leads to the next morning. You have not been to bed yet, but you have to go to NAMM.
That is,
and Reinhold is still drinking the wine in your room.
That is,
and Reinhold basically does not sleep until maybe 2 nights away from that point.
Yeah.
And he has
Yeah.
wine-stained lips. And
yeah. And I do remember he, him going into the bathroom and he was shaving down below with my electric razor.
awesome.
They were,
Oh my
but
God.
yeah,
that would go in the garbage right away.
yeah.
Well, there was this one story that I think we've talked about it before on the show when George Metropolis was on, and we used to do the LA Amp show here, and George had have a room across from us, and we were always hanging out and stuff, and I remember one year it's the next day, the next morning, we're supposed to open at 10 or something, and like George's room is closed. Just like closed. I'm like, where's George? What happened? Still closed at 11. Where's George? We're trying to call him and stuff. And it's like, finally one of his guys shows up at the room at like noon. And like, we're like, what happened? Where you guys been? He's like, oh man. So George said it was okay to go to this party with Reinhold. Said, don't worry, be okay. And he goes, and the guy goes, next thing we know, it's like 8 a.m. the day of the show, and it's like 8 a.m. and we're in Los Angeles somewhere downtown maybe. We have no idea where we are. We have no idea what's basically city or area we're in at all. And evidently they're and George evidently was punched by a midget.
That's right. I forgot.
In the hotel room, because there was a midget in the hotel room, of course, also.
Why wouldn't there be?
And there's drunken midgets and weird, sounds normal for Reinhold.
Part of
Yeah.
the purpose.
Yeah.
And then they're like, we have to figure out where the hell we are, how to get back to where we need to go, and we have to call like an Uber or it's like we have no clue, and we hadn't slept, and
yeah. The thing with
but George
Reinhold,
said it was okay to go with him.
Yeah.
And I go, yeah, George lied to you.
Yeah, that's right.
And he knows better, by the way.
Yeah. And the thing with Reinhold is he doesn't actually care if he ever makes it back to the show.
No.
Yeah,
Oh, there's a great story of one time when he first started doing pedals with Avi, who does our stuff, and he went to Frankfurt, show in Frankfurt, and he's supposed to be at the show, and he's supposed to there representing the pedals and all this stuff, and I think he's there the very first day, and then he disappears. No one knows where he is. Period. They didn't know where he was. They didn't know if he was in a gutter, in a hospital, in anything. And Avi's going around with his distributor friend, and they're trying to figure out where he is. And they're going into these areas where, like, hey, you shouldn't be here. You know that. And he goes, I'm just looking for my friend. And, the seediest of seediest, drug den oriented, dangerous areas. Of course, Reinhold's from Germany, so he knows exactly where he is.
Yeah.
And they eventually found him.
Yeah.
Like a day and a half later.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was. I shared a booth.
He's like, I came one day. Hey.
Yeah, I've shared a booth with Reinhold in Frankfurt. I don't know, probably at least three different years there, and yeah, we'd have a blast. But it's totally normal that Reinhold would be there for one day, and then that's it. You wouldn't see him again.
Yeah,
but it was fun, and that one day was great.
I was going to say that one day that he was there, you definitely saw him, because that one time that I saw him at NAMM, he was wearing a silver suit. He looked like he came from space.
Yeah. Or there was the time he went to NAMM in a transparent outfit.
I saw that.
With nothing on.
It was like a paper dress.
Yeah, it was like some translucent plastic dress. And as you're walking up to him and seeing him from afar, you start laughing because you realize, wow, he really is hairy.
Yes. That black
and then you also realize some other things you never wanted to know.
That's right. Yeah. No, I remember. You could. Yeah. It's probably James. James is the best at that. Guy has pictures of everybody.
Who was that?
James has dirt on everyone.
That's why you didn't want me to talk to him about pictures.
Oh, he collects that stuff. So I'm guessing it must have been him. There's a great shot from the show of Reinhold outside of the convention talking to a couple of Anaheim PD officers and standing there in his paper dress. And, like I say, you could totally see his junk right through it.
Yeah, you can see his junk. All right. And you way too much.
Wow. Hey, let's jump.
Here's the best part. You go in the booth and you start talking to him. And you, first of all, it's hard not to laugh. And it's also hard not to just kind of look him up and down while you're sitting there trying to talk to him, just going, what the fuck?
God, I love Reinhold. I just love him.
Hey, it takes balls to do that.
Yeah.
I know, but everything. I like everything about him, and he's such an interesting character, and he's into there's no bounds to the things that he's into, and he gets really into it. And I think he's a brilliant designer, Mm-hmm. I remember when I was really impressed when we were working on the preamp together. And I wasn't, especially at the time, I wasn't really a tube guy at all. And so I'm just kind of getting into that. And I'm coming, and so I'm just having sort of stream of consciousness, different ideas about things. And it was like every single thing that I could think of, Reinhold would tell me that he tried it and exactly what it did and why it worked or didn't work. He's really a sharp guy and incredibly creative, and really fun to party with unless he frightens you.
Oh, he might grab your balls.
That might happen.
Yeah.
That might be frightening.
Whatever.
Daniel Judge, thanks for the super chat. Dave, I'm looking to reproduce Jake's amp sound on Bark at the Moon. He owns a gel, Jake Lee amp. Can I get that sound strictly from the amp's overdrive, or do I need the Boss OD1?
Honestly, I would think you could do it from the high gain overdrive side. I mean, I heard Jake do it. It sounded pretty spot on. I mean, you'd have to tone match it to the record. It's a little bit, but yeah, I would think you can do it without the overdrive pedal.
Yeah. Cody Carrig, thanks for the super chat. Dave saw a video of you talking about rebuilding EVH's amp, which he loved. Are you going to release an amp with that circuit, or do you have one now?
I don't have one now. Would I do that in the future? Maybe. I don't know. I'd probably do a 50-watt version, though. Because the 100-watt is just a little brutal.
That's cool. All right. Let's see. Andrew Morgan, thanks for the super chat. The night you were late to Tone Talk and the YouTube opens, George got punched by a midget. The search for Tone is paid with danger.
True statement.
And the other statement is the other statement of fact is if Reinhold says, "Hey, let's go to a party," don't go. No, it's okay. I'm busy. Thanks. I remember a Halloween party I had once. Reinhold was at. This has got to be in the 90s. You might have even been there. Do you remember a Halloween party at my house? Reinhold came dressed as a girl.
Was it Halloween? I went to a lot of parties at your house.
Yeah, so it probably there was a Halloween party at my house somewhere in the 90s. It was before I had kids, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was before I had kids. And so that must have been early 90s. Really. Yeah, I remember sitting. I eventually had to ask Reinhold to just go because it was like 5 a.m. and he was still there on my couch talking to me. It was like, I gotta go to bed, man.
Yeah,
get out.
Yeah, I mean, I remember parties over there that the sun would come up and there were bodies on the front lawn.
Oh, Mick. Yes.
Yeah. But they were good parties. They were fun. They were good parties. They were fun.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I got to experience that when I was young enough to survive it.
Yeah, because not now.
Yeah.
Look at this comment. Joseph Brasler, Reinhold started a fire at my second wedding.
Oh, Joey.
Joey.
How are you, Joey?
Don't go.
I didn't know that, but okay, I believe it.
Yeah, of course he did.
Oh, man, that's good.
We need to get Reinhold on the show. We will. We'll get Reinhold on.
Yeah.
I think Dave needs some convincing.
Yeah. At some point, if you want to get like super nerdy for a minute, I could bring the iPad over, see if we could see the spectrum analyzer, and I could show you some. You want to do that?
Yeah, sure.
All
Let's
right.
get super geeky.
It's super geeky. Here, wait. Let me. Can you still see me? Oh, you can still see me. Okay, here. I'm gonna do that, and here we'll just plug this thing in. Wait, I'm just plugging some stuff in.
By the way, I'm so full right now. Oh my god.
Good.
You finished your bottle of wine yet?
No.
I've been going kind of slow.
Yeah, mine's
Yeah,
over with.
You're gone?
Oh, yeah, it's gone.
Wow.
All right,
it's gone. I need to go get a second bottle.
Let's see if I can point. Oh, this thing's all wobbly. Let's see if I can point it down. We'll move it down. Wait, can we even see this? There we go. Wait. Oh, does this even work? Can you see this right here?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You can see the yellow on it?
Yeah, especially now that it stopped shaking.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Okay, so that's... Oh, yeah, we can start to see it. All right, and what's going on? Why is this thing... Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. It doesn't work if you don't plug it in. Oh, I wasn't supposed to do that. Did you see that?
Nope.
Good. I did.
I didn't.
Okay. So this is just I can't even tell you how many stupid hours I spent in front of this thing. But in any case, what we're looking at, this is a spectrum analyzer, so we can look at a frequency plot. You can look at this stuff on an oscilloscope and look at the noise coming out of things, and you could see the noise and get an idea what the amplitude of it is. But if you really want to know what it is, you have to see it in the frequency domain. But basically, with this, we're really just looking at the noise floor of the instrument. And tell you what, I'm gonna freeze this. Bam. So we'll freeze that, and then we'll go back to 2. Okay. And we'll put this. Whoop, what happened? Power outage. Okay. So now we can look at a different color. Okay, so this is the output of a Pedal Power 3. and basically it's absolutely dead quiet. We're looking at one output, and then I've loaded 3 other outputs because a lot of times the power supplies you see the noise when they do that. Is this nerdy enough for you? So here, I'm going to turn this one off, and now we'll switch over. Here, let me just slip one. Here, I'm just going to cover this up because I don't really want to throw anybody under the bus.
Right. So we're not going to say what power supply it is.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I'm just going to say it's something popular that people like these days. We'll just leave it at that. And wait, I have to power it up before we get anything meaningful out of it. There we go. And then we'll reset this. Okay. So this is another popular power supply. So you can see that the yellow trace, that was us. And then the purple trace is this other power supply, which is quite popular. And this is noise. I could talk about, what it's actually, where it comes from, but whatever. And then let's see, tell you what, we'll freeze that one just for fun. And then I'll move this one out of the way carefully so we don't, because I don't like to diss other people, and because that's maybe not cool. Anyway, and then so I'll move this one out of the way so you can't see it, and then I'll slip this matching blue one underneath the towel. Oh, I mean this nondescript power supply that some people seem to think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but whatever. Here, and then we'll do the same thing. We'll look at an output and we'll stick some other loads into it. And oops, now we'll go over to 3. We'll turn this one on. Power average. There we go. We'll reset it. All right. So this blue trace. Oh wow! It actually matches the colors all match, and and so this we could see this is the primary switching frequency, and this is the input converter does this, and well anyway you can see we're down at the bottom doing this yellow
nice
thing.
Even flat. Yeah,
there's basically nothing coming out of it, and this is it's 150 kilohertz, and the harmonics of it going up 300 kilohertz, and then there's it's a 2-stage converter, so it's got a flyback in the beginning, and this is a noise coming out of the flyback, and it's maybe not that well filtered. Anyway, so that's my nerdy little demonstration.
So what are those spikes in the noise, right, that we see, those 3 major spikes? Where's that coming from?
Well, basically, there's a it starts the way the power supply. Tell you what, we don't need to look at that anymore. You can look at me, and I'll tell you. Oh, now I got to tip it up, and then we're gonna. Ooh, that's a nice clown.
That is a great shirt.
I know, isn't it? Wait, my boom's falling off my mic stand. Where'd we go here? There we go. Can you see the wine? That's the important thing now.
Yep, you can see the wine. See you.
Oh, that's good. Wait. Turn a little bit. There we go. Perfect. Anyway, yeah. So the input from the AC line, it goes into a flyback converter. That's basically what's in a wall wart. So the very first stuff that you see is just artifacts from the switching of the flyback converter, and then the way they generate all the isolated outs, and it's basically the same way we do a pedal power 3, sort of. Is then they have another converter that switches at 150 kilohertz, and so you're seeing the switching frequency. So because you're seeing it as a spectrum plot instead of on an oscilloscope, which would be a little bit harder to identify what it is because it's plotted in it's time and amplitude instead of frequency. It's easier to see it in frequency, but it's basically a lack of filtering and a lack of linear regulation, which so I mean. It's I almost feel silly about it. I
Does the one with the two spikes have the linear regulation or non-linear regulation?
Well, it's just not having, an analog linear regulator at all. Which, because the linear regulator, basically it's trying to generate trying to regulate it to a constant voltage.
One of the products you showed does have a linear regulator, and one
the other one just kind of has the junk in the at the front end, and that's because they only have the flyback converters, and it's not too bad because it's because then they do linear regulate it afterwards, which brings it down. And the flyback converters run at a relatively low frequency, so they're switching at 25 kilohertz or something like that. And so the lumps that you were seeing, those are just the harmonics of it, and they kind of get fatter as you go because it's a little trick. The FCC has requirements on how much noise, the amplitude of the noise you can poop out, and so what they do, they just use a pre-canned chip, and so the chip kind of jitters the frequency a little bit, and as you go to the harmonics, it kind of fattens them. It fattens them out, because it's if you're look at it this way, is if you're let's say you're switching at 25 kilohertz. Oh, this is really nerdy. Sorry,
we've now lost everyone in the
I know
chat.
we lost everyone. So I'll just say this one thing, and there'll be a math guy out there that'll appreciate it. So you're switching at 25 kilohertz, and if you're jittering the frequency, so it's actually jittering around between, say, 24 and 26. Well, then the harmonic of that, the first harmonic is going to be double the frequency. So the 25 comes out as 50 kilohertz, but the 24 comes out as 48, and the 26 comes out as 52. So now the first harmonic is going from 48 to 52, so it's 4 kilohertz wide instead of 2 kilohertz wide, and so that's why those humps get fatter and fatter as they go. But I mean, that's what that is, and I've stared at this shit for probably like 3,000 hours.
It's time to get out, man.
I know.
Oh wait, we can't go anywhere. We can't go anywhere.
So, yeah, where's he going?
Well, there's I mean, fortunately I live in the woods, so I can just wander around here. No, I'm just really happy that I mean, we finally did it, and they're absolutely dead quiet, and they work great, and they're totally flexible because all the outputs can do high current, and I'm just happy that it's like, oh, thank God, I can not work on power supplies for a while, and get back to some other things that are Black Friday. Yeah, buy them.
Yeah, so you guys,
are they gonna have them?
I don't know.
Check out Sweetwater.
The 8-out 3s, and I'm sure they're going to get some of the first ones. So I would imagine they'll have some 3s in stock, probably within a week or so. But I think they also may have already sold through everything that we're shipping them.
So I'm
look at all that cool stuff.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm going to provide a link in our video for Sweetwater, you guys, and I'll put for Voodoo Lab as well, so you guys can click on that, and we get a kickback a little bit if you guys purchase anything from Sweetwater. So we would
cool.
Definitely check out Voodoo Lab products, as well as let me share my screen on this so you guys can see. Where is it? Here it is. So this is your website, voodoolab.com. So can people buy directly from this site, or do they have to go to a dealer?
They could get a t-shirt. No, we just sell some accessory stuff, some brackets and cables and stuff like that. We may start doing it, but for now we just support our dealers.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I think now that I'm not under the ball and chain of trying to perfect these power supplies, I believe the next thing we'll probably get out is the revised version of the Amp Selector. And you know what? I think, Dave, we probably did some stuff on the original Amp Selector together.
No, we didn't. That was way after.
It was?
Yeah.
Really?
Although, but I'd like to know about the revised one.
Because
we could do some
Well,
stuff
you
on
know
the
what?
revised one.
yeah, well, you know what? I think we may have talked about the. It may have been the transformer, the isolation transformer that went into the original one.
Yeah.
And although ultimately, I mean, you know how it is. Time goes by and stuff gets better. But
now you can get better.
Yeah, and that was the one thing that
Not cheaper, but better.
Yeah, well, there's that. That I wasn't 100% thrilled with, but you know, and it was an off-the-shelf thing without. I mean, you know, at least at the time, you know, getting into a Jensen or something, you know, you end up with a product that's so unbelievably, putting 4 Jensen transformers in, in the amp selector, you know. But so I ended up designing my own transformer.
Really?
And James and I worked on that quite a lot. And it's bitching. It's used a nickel core. It's in a real mu metal can, and worked on that quite a bit. And it really sounds great. I mean, it's like,
well, I want to know about that.
Yeah, it's like the transformer is like night and day better than the original one. So I got a big pile of those that I had made, and so that's the first thing I'm looking forward to is I mean it's basically things for the most part done. It's really just a matter of doing, you know, final. I mean, we have a circuit design that works, and the transformer. The transformer was the big project for it. You know, having a good transformer is everything in that. And so we're going to do a 4-out version that's and adding MIDI control to that, but then also doing a 2-out version,
right?
Which obviously for a lot of guys that's practical. So that's I believe that's the next project on the horizon. And we get, you know, since we discontinued the old one, you know, we did get a lot of calls about it that are like, "Hey man, Amp Selector, where'd it go?" And what was it? I'm trying to think. Yeah, on the original Amp Selector, we didn't have any phase switches on it, did we?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Yeah, everything just came out in phase. So that was obviously that's an issue because amps are not always in phase. So yeah, so it adds phase switches to it, and
did you make it MIDI controllable with MIDI phase switching?
I don't think so.
Yeah, that's what you should do.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It's not impossible. It's not impossible. I mean, that's to be honest, that's the one thing that I was just looking at my notes on it, and that's the one thing that was a little bit up in the air. Was whether we would actually just use a toggle switch to do the phase switch, or whether it would be electronically controlled. Of course, it could still be a toggle switch to set it, but or whether it would be electronically controllable. You know, you do get into something that starts getting complicated for the user.
You do, but again, that a lot of people. Well, yes, it does get complicated to the user, and the end result is complicated for the user to understand. But if a guy is using 2 channel switching amps, let's say, each channel switching each channel on these amps could be out of phase from the other channels. So from patch to patch, like, let's say you use a Bogner amp and a Friedman amp, okay? So channel 3 on the Bogner amp might be out of phase with channel 2 on the Friedman amp, or vice versa, or whatever combination you want to come up with will be a different phase. So with rigs, I fix that by having a extra loop and a little phase reverse transformer in the loop that you can program that loop on and make the 2 channels in phase then. So if you had a product though that did that, you know, that'd be cool. They don't have to use it, but it'd be cool.
Yeah, man. Always having to clean up the mess.
Fucked with you, didn't I?
Yeah, it's always cleaning up the mess that the amp guys leave behind. You know, they don't care. Well, so what? So what if different channels are out of phase with each other? What do I care? That's your problem.
Right.
Yeah. No, actually, I mean, I do. I have I have a prototype that has, like I say, it's electronically switchable for phase.
Uh-huh.
You know, instead of just doing it through the, hardwired through the toggle switch. So it's totally doable, and it can always be something that you enable that, like powered on with a button held down setup thing.
Sure.
So you don't see it unless you turned it on.
Yeah.
But if you want it, it's there. Yeah, that's a good idea. It's a good idea. All right.
So
all right, Dave.
But that's a lot easier than power supplies.
It is
much easier than power supplies.
I think it just depends on what you're good at, it depends on what you're good at. I mean, there's something like an amp switcher, there's a lot of ways to screw that up.
Well, this is true, but again, it's still a lot easier to accomplish the end result and fix the result that you get than the power supply. The power supply is like switching frequencies and noise, and that's a whole nother fun little thing.
Yeah, when you start getting into switching power supplies and isolated, multi-output isolated supplies, it definitely.
Yeah. Here's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. So like majority of even like let's just put it really simply, the majority of switching power supplies, wall warts are switching power supplies. There's not really linear ones anymore. And so a lot of companies ship their products with maybe a wall wart that actually physically causes noise, which is always baffling to me. Where you literally plug it into an amp and you hear it buzzing, like considerably. And the biggest culprit of all that one is the wall wart that sort of started a lot of it in the guitar world was the one spot. So I mean, their power supplies are fine, but the actual wall wart, if you have a one spot wall wart, I guarantee it's causing noise. If you just plug it into one pedal and that pedal into an amp, it buzzes.
Yeah.
Period. It's not good. And I always tell people just throw the wall wart out. Just throw that one right out. Just throw it away. If you want a switching wall wart that works, that I know works and is quiet, just buy a Boss one. Mm-hmm. The Boss PSA little wall wart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are pretty. As wall warts go, they're pretty good. I mean, they still, desperately need the linear regulation to really get the noise down. But
if you just plug this in and you're not looking at it, if you just plug it into a pedal, it's quiet.
Yeah.
The PSA 9-volt DC series.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that for any other off the shelf wall wart that I know of.
Yeah, but they're just sourced. It's just a sourced Chinese product.
Yeah. Actually, the Boss one, they had to design from scratch.
Yeah, and I totally believe that.
President about that, and he goes, "Yeah, no, we had to do that as a proprietary thing. We designed it from scratch because there was nothing. You couldn't buy anything that would just work."
Yeah. There have been times that I've looked at that, and because you could design something that was purpose built to do that really actually was built to power pedals, but the problem is that the price point of those things, it's just ridiculous to try to compete there.
But the Boss one's like $25 or something.
Yeah.
So I mean, and there's probably a reason it's $25.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, stuff doesn't get that much cheaper. You get something for $19. I mean, by the time it makes it through the distribution channel and gets sold at retail. Yeah. I mean, what we do, it's substantially more sophisticated in the in the topology of the whole thing. The thing that really made it one of the big things. I mean, geeky again, but one of the big things that I did on ours was just having a switching topology that's inherently quiet, which makes the filter. I mean, we still put a lot of effort into filtering and ended up using. I mean, fortunately, parts costs have come down for some of these more exotic things, like these organic polymer capacitors that are pretty amazing. And they used to be like many dollars each, but the pricing over the years have come down to the point where, yeah, it still costs a lot more than a regular electrolytic or something, but for the performance, they're still affordable. But on the actual switching, that's where we do this what's called a DC transformer, which nerdy engineering type people know that, well, wait a minute, DC doesn't go through a transformer, it's only AC. And so the way these things work is you put DC through it, and which is absolutely steady DC. And instead of doing some weird pulse width modulation or whatever, what you do is you go bam and reverse the polarity. So you go DC, one direct, one polarity, and then before the transformer would saturate, which is why you can't put DC through a transformer, you go bam and you switch the direction and it goes back the other way, also DC. But you make that transition so it happens incredibly fast. So like in the case of a Pedal Power 3 or an X4, when it switches direction, it does it in about 80 nanoseconds, which is, well, a really short time, Right. And so what comes out of it is basically DC with this little bitty little beep when it switches directions. Beep. And so all you have to do is filter out the beep, which is a lot easier than something that's going bang, 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 and then trying to clean that up after the fact. It's like just starting with the right topology for it, just gives you a leg up so you can come up with a good solution. And nobody else does it. So funny. I went to years ago, not that many, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, I went to a Texas Instruments. They do this fantastic power supply seminar that they run every 2 years. It's really big. It's very famous among power supply geeks. Mm-hmm. And I talked to one of the TI, PhD designers there that designs a lot of their demo stuff. And I was just talking to him about what I was trying to do at the time. And he's like, oh, well, you should be using a DC transformer. And I'm like, I am. And that's when I knew I was like on the right track with that. Anyway, okay, back to drinking.
I don't have any in front of me, so I can't. I finished it.
Oh no! Did you get it? What about, you can't get it back from the wife? She finished hers too?
Oh, I'm sure she didn't. I probably can. It would just involve me getting up.
Well, there's that. All right, what else we got?
Got a question from Deja Blue. Dave and Josh, how do you decide on design features and fight feature creep?
I hate feature creep.
Feature creep.
Yeah, I think you kind of I mean, it's sort of natural to sort of start out that way, and you just start throwing in features that you want to do, and then you end up with that what do they call it? The Homer mobile.
Yeah.
But you start by doing that, and then you start throwing stuff away. You start going, okay, that's way too complicated and silly. I mean, usually there's two problems. The problems are it's going to be too confusing for anybody to use, and the second thing is there's only one guy that actually wants it.
Yeah.
And so
as far as me goes, with amps, this is a problem. It's like, there's so many people that want features and they like features and they love switches and they love this and that. And if I had my way, it'd have a, you know, a tone knob and a volume.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, if I had my way, it would have an on-off switch.
Yeah.
Just that's it, and an input jack.
Yeah.
But that doesn't, you know, I'm constantly fighting simplicity versus complicated. So, you know, that's why I have a little of both. So, you know, some of the simplistic amps I really love, and then some of the other ones I still love, but you know, it's like, which amp is your favorite? I have no idea. I don't know. All of them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's trying to find a happy medium. And the other thing is I think trying to constrain things. So you have to be careful. You give people too many controls that have too wide an ability, and all of a sudden you end up with a product. I mean, there's an amp company I'm thinking of, and I'm not going to say it, but where it's like there's 800,000 ways to set the ton of controls on it that sound bad.
Oh, you must be Mesa Boogie.
Okay, all right. Maybe I was. I don't know.
we were all thinking it. We were all thinking it.
Yeah, and it's. I mean,
there's one good sound.
There is.
You have to find
it. And I remember that with oh God, who was it? Was it maybe Richie Mazzetta or some? I remember there was somebody, you know, had one of the amps and it's like, oh my God, this thing is awful. And they're like, no, you have to set it like this. And it's like, oh, that's right. But as soon as I bump one of those things, I'll never find that sound again.
Yeah, it's too much.
Yeah. It was like I think when they came out with the Road King. It's like, if you looked at the back of the Road, I think it was the Road King. If you looked at the back of the Road King, there literally was like 30 switches on it or something. And I'm like, I'm looking at it going, oh man, first of all, one of those is going to break. Someone's going to kick it. It's going to fall. It's going to snap off something. Second of all, it's like, how do you know what's the way you want it? I mean, it might take you a year to figure out.
I get confused enough with the switches that are on the BE100.
And you have the older one.
No, I don't know. Right, exactly. I don't even have the deluxe. I mean, sometimes I'm like, oh, what switch is this? Can I go on the back and I got to look? And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that, you know.
When you don't put it on, then they're like, well, why didn't you put it on that amp?
Right.
I'm like, because you don't need it.
Exactly. Here's a nice comment from Edward Mama Hit. Love Digital Music Corp, Voodoo Lab product. I have a 4 GCX, 2 System Mix Plus, 2 ground control, 2 ground link.
Wow.
2 ground control pro, MX8 power supply, etc., and loving it.
Wow.
He's your biggest fan.
He's got the whole company history there. Wow. Two System X Pluses. I don't even know if I have a System X Plus.
I don't have a System X Plus, and I helped design that one too.
I know. I think that, yeah. Well, you know, when we moved up to the building we're in now, we moved out of Petaluma, and I mean, kind of a. It's actually kind of a funny story. The building that we're in now, I bought from Rob Turner at EMG.
Oh yeah.
And we had outgrown the place that we were leasing in Petaluma, and we were looking for, which actually was next door to, oh God,
you were right by Boogie, weren't you?
Well, we were across the highway from Boogie, and it was actually Sean Beresford who found the building, and it was next door to, man, it was, I'm trying to think of the name of the company. It was Nate Kramer. They moved to he sold it and they moved to the East Coast. Mojo, exactly. Yeah. So I was actually next door to Nate in this place we leased, but we totally outgrew the building. And I was looking for something bigger, and I was looking online at just stuff that, you know, that was coming up for sale, and this building came up, and it was like, oh my God, it's the perfect size, it's in our price range, and I'm looking at the pictures, and and I see on one wall, it looked like it had in kind of script up on the wall. It looked like ENG, and I was thinking, oh, that's weird. Is that like the engineering room or something? And then there was another picture where you could see a workbench, and it's like, oh my God, that's a row of pickups on there. I think that's EMG, and and I called up Rob and said, hey Rob, are you selling your building? And he said, yeah, you want to buy it? I said, maybe. He said, well, come on over. and yeah, it was fun. I mean, Rob is just like the nicest guy in the world. Yeah. Later in life, I discovered that commercial real estate transactions can be awful. And being able to do this with Rob, who's a friend, was absolutely just fantastic. But he was moving into a much bigger place up by the Sonoma County Airport, and so he was building out office space and stuff in this much bigger building. And so we ended up, I had already purchased his building, but leased it back to him. And during the time that that we were supposed to move, but we didn't because he kept it for like 2 months until his place was ready, there was a huge flood in Petaluma. And so our building totally flooded. I still have. I think on my garage, I think I finally got the the silt from the flood off. You could see the line across the body.
Wow.
Where the water came up to. But I think it may be that the only System X Plus that I have went through the flood.
Wow. And this is
no, but the thing that's really cool that guy has is he's got a ground link. Do you remember those? Yeah. That was the ground control add-on thing that just added some buttons to it. I don't know if I have one of those. The ground link, I think we made. What's that?
I have one.
You do? Wow. Yeah. I think we made a total of like 200 or 250 of them, and then that was it. So there's not too many of those things floating around.
So he says his System X Plus is really good, and his GCX is modded by you to have stereo.
Oh yeah. We still do that. You could swap out 4 loops for stereo.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. People doing those. There's not that many people doing those kind of. I'd love to redesign it, and I don't know. Maybe we will. But the number of people doing those kind of rack rigs. I don't know, Dave. What do you think? Are they coming back?
Maybe. Yeah. Pedal switchers are big, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do with that? It's the market's already kind of bloated with those, and like hard to compete. I like the one you have because you have a more simplistic one.
Which is you mean the pedal switcher?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you still see rack switchers, and you still see stuff. It changes. It's like an ebb and flow thing. It's weird. It's like I'm starting to actually see more of that stuff now. Because I think people are using like certain switchers and things in a rack with their axe effects or things like that, or different style rigs.
Yeah, the thing I actually like for doing that is the what's that thing we make?
The hex.
The hex, yeah, the hex. I like the hex, and so you could take a shelf and then mount the hex right on the front of the shelf, and have it just deal with the pedals that are on that shelf.
Yeah.
I think that's.
I agree. That's a great way to do it too.
Yeah, instead of having a rack switcher and then having to have the giant loom of cables, and deal with all that, doing it just wiring up.
It's weird. It just depends on what you're doing and what kind of rig you're doing. The nice thing about the ground control was that every loop was isolated, so you really sort of had some freedom to how you were going to put this rig together. So if in one rig you needed 4 switching functions and 4 loops, well, you have it. If you needed 4 switching functions, 2 loops in the loop of the amp and 2 loops in front of the amp, you had it. And they were all also ground isolated from each other. So you then had isolated paths and different things. So in some respects, In fact, I might need to talk to you about a GCX soon because there's a rig that I'm doing that I think needs something just like that. Because it's just the functionality of it. So, I don't know.
Yeah, well, and for
could you do an updated GCX? Sure, there's a couple things you could do that would make it cool, or something you could do to.
I mean, for the guy on the street, of course, always nobody likes having to jumper all the loops together to do that. For us, we just whatever. I'll just open the cover and just jumper them internally.
Yeah, that's what I always used to do constantly.
Yeah, exactly. It's easier to do that than have a cable and another potential failure point. But or cables oxidize over time and. Yeah.
If the jumper cable's oxidized, that's bad.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. It's
Dave,
not
look at a Metro D with a Floyd from Anmol Singh.
Haven't done it yet. Is it possible? It might be possible. We're in a little bit of a transition right now, though. Grover's going to move his shop to Nashville, so at some time, maybe February or something. So there's a big transition we're going to go through.
But he's still doing the guitar.
Yeah.
Love Voodoo Lab products from Michael Torin. Have 5 GCXs and ground controls. Even have the Voodoo Labs guitar preamp.
Michael, you have every preamp known to man, I think, maybe, or close to. Literally, possibly everything known to mankind.
He's got an amazing collection. I think I saw a picture of it recently.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, thank you. I'm glad you like it.
I didn't realize he made it. It was a rack preamp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Single space rack preamp.
Single space, 3 channels. Yeah, it was three channels. It was actually 2 channels and a gain switch for the 3rd channel. It switched another, stage.
What was it kind of based on? I mean, I know you said Reinhold was involved in it.
Yeah, it was, ultimately it was. I mean, it was sort of the channel 1 is sort of Fendery, and channel 2 and 3 were Marshally with lower and higher gain, and it's mostly just me and Reinhold and Joey Brasler was real involved in that. And so it was really the 3 of us just going, yeah, that sounds good. Or make this a little more like that. It's like, oh, you hear that? Change that. I can't say that it wasn't something that was really designed to emulate something else. It was really just sounds that we all liked.
Yeah.
Cool. Have to check it out on Reverb.
Yeah. That also, I think it was 200 some units that we made, and that was that. So.
Really, that's it.
Yeah. So there's not a lot of those, out there, but they sound great though, if I may say so myself. I do have one.
What was this? Newsflash: Grover is leaving California as well as Bad needs to leave as well. Why is that? You see that, Dave?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay.
Grover is leaving California as well as Bad need to leave as well. We need to leave California? Okay. I understand the concept of leaving California because California is not the most business-friendly state in the world.
No, it's not.
But it does have nice weather.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
And it has less... no, never mind.
Yes. Yeah. I know where you were going. Let's just say I'm moving out of Florida. So...
Yeah.
I was saying, what's wrong with your state?
It's time to go. It's time to go. That's all I have to say. It's just time to go.
I was really disappointed when you said you don't have any alligators near you.
No, I've never seen an alligator, but there was a picture someone like my son showed me on a golf course recently, just the other day after the hurricane or the storm, that looked like Jurassic Park. So, so oh man, California.
I ate alligator before.
Oh, so have I.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Quite good.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it's all about. I think it's all about what they do to it.
Yeah, one of those things
Like
came
an
into my yard. I know what would happen.
I'm running.
Yeah.
That's right.
But yeah, I'm in the other part of the state, so I'm up in a redwood forest, and so which is another one of the cool things about California is there's a lot of diversity. You know,
True.
And it's not that far to get. You can go to the mountains, you can go to the snow, you can go to Palm Springs. You can be up in the redwoods. It's a beautiful state. Has other downsides, and moving's such a pain. Who wants to do that?
Yeah.
True. Randy Upchurch, good evening, my brothers, and greetings from Southern Illinois. By the way, I love Voodoo Lab. Giggity, peace. That's cool.
Giggity. Yeah, that's. Wait. I think I have one. Where is that? Oh yeah, here we go. I think this was actually a prototype with this reddish, red sparkle paint. But there's a Giggity. The thing. Okay, I love the. Dave, have you played one of these?
Yes, I have one.
Oh, okay. I love this pedal. I think these are the best.
What's it based on? What is it?
It's hard. Here's the thing about that pedal. It's hard to really explain what it is. That might be the problem with that pedal. It's like, what is it? What does it do? No one knows.
I 100% agree with that. And it's kind of versatile, I mean, because you can use it as a clean boost. You can use it as an overdrive. It's really cool to put at the end of the chain and use it to kind of dial in a room, I mean, so it kind of has a lot of use, but that's exactly right. It's one of those things. It's hard to explain.
A non-category.
Yeah, it's like just get one and play with it, and because the people that have them love them. But the thing that most amuses me, because I'm amused by silly things, is, I mean, if you're a Family Guy fan, you are aware with Giggity, the favorite word of Quagmire, and I have a trademark on the word Giggity.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So I guess I could write to old Seth and say, "Hey, man, I trade it now." It's the trademarks are, of course, constrained to usage. So the trademark only applies to guitar pedals named Giggity, but it's still funny.
Trademarks, aren't they fun?
Stuff you got to do.
Yeah.
Hey, better than a pat. We actually just for the dingbats where we have the pedals, the switcher that mounts underneath the front of the dingbat.
Yeah.
Which it's totally awesome because if you put a switcher on top, then you need enough room for all the cabling and the jacks and everything, and they take up a huge amount of real estate on the pedal board. So it's completely cool to have it so it mounts underneath it. And oh my God, it took forever. We actually just got a patent on having the switcher mounted underneath the pedal board.
Cool.
So it was
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. It's something you look back on and it's like, oh God, was this even worth it? I mean, seriously, it took years. I mean, it just took years, and the patent office they take forever to do anything. And the only good thing about it taking years is that it takes so long that you forget about the money you gave to the attorney you know, and every 6 months you give them more money, but you forgot about the old money. And you know, and it's like you got this far, so it's like, what are you gonna do? Just stop? It's like, yeah, okay, file that thing.
That's fine.
But anyway, it's done, and I believe I would never file for another patent again. It's just
takes
too long and costs too much.
Yeah.
So
Dan, I am definitely leaving Florida once my son graduates from high school. It's I'm out of here.
Where are you gonna go?
Not sure. We'll see.
That's the tough question, actually.
Maybe South Carolina. I don't know. I'm not sure. I really don't. Virginia, maybe. We'll see. We will see. Does Giggity have a buffer? BMO wants to know.
Does Giggity have a buffer? Well, I mean, it's a.
Buffered when it's on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's. I mean, that's not really a question that. I mean, I guess if you're saying is it buffered like a boss pedal? So when it's in bypass, you're still running through a buffer. The answer would be no. It's true bypass. So it's just hardwired from input to output when it's off, and when it's turned on, it's like, well, yeah, it's buffered, but it's buffered because it's, you know, running through the Giggity circuit. So hopefully that makes sense. The yeah, it's actually the roots of the Giggity are actually the original Voodoo Lab Overdrive, just with a bunch more stuff and different. You know, it actually kind of started out. The original idea was I was going to go back and fix things that I didn't like about the original Overdrive, which I love the original Overdrive.
God, I barely remember what that was.
Yeah, it was based on a DoD Preamp 250.
Yeah. Okay, now I remember.
Except that the Preamp 250, which I thought was a great pedal. But the output on the originals is a little anemic. You know, you couldn't really slam an amp with it, and I think they also could benefit from a little bit more gain. And so that was basically the Overdrive was based on that, adding another stage to it just to give some more oomph on the output, and then you could dial up more gain, and that was the single thing that I really didn't like about it. That was my lesson on don't give them knob settings that sound bad, especially if you turn the knobs all the way up and it sounds bad. Kiss of death, you know, because there's guys that will do that and go, this thing sucks, and it's like, you know, it's not a switch, it's a knob. You turn it till it sounds good,
right?
But that doesn't. But you know, that doesn't always work. And so you know, because what happened was that with that circuit is you know, if you just add gain to it, the EQ starts getting kind of janky at the high end, and it gets sort of ice picky. And so that was really a mistake in that design, and it is a minor change just to limit the gain to something more reasonable. And that's where I started what I wanted to do with it. And then I went down the road of the Giggity, which was, you know, it was kind of fixing that, but then adding all this versatility, and it's like, oh, now we'll do this like 4-position kind of personality switch to have, you know, different gain levels, and now like, oh, and I can EQ each gain level totally differently, and you know, and come up with a series of sounds that I want.
And then no one know what it was.
Yeah, and now we'll call it a preamp pedal. I don't know. But yeah, there was a lot of consternation about what it is, and we ended up calling it a preamp pedal, and I don't know. Right. But that's something. So, is anybody still watching this?
Oh yeah, we got 200 people watching.
Oh, get out of here!
Yep. And Dave just dropped off again.
Oh, he'll come back. Cheers, 200 peeps.
Yeah, cheers to everybody. I think we've gone through most of the questions. I want to make sure everybody knows to check out Sweetwater and the link that we provide on the video.
Yeah, I'm back.
You're back.
You know, something weird, like with the software, like if I something in the comments, if I run my mouse over it really quick or something, it'll just knock me completely off.
Huh. That's weird. So I was just going to say, check out Sweetwater. So you guys can,
What do you got there?
What's that?
This is a Pedal Power X8. It is, you know, the funny
8 add-on.
There we go. It's a Pedal Power X8, and it's funny. I pick one of these things up, and it weighs so little. I think that, oh, is this just some dummy thing we did for a trade show, and there's nothing in it? But actually, this is a complete functioning power supply. And this, we're just starting to build these, but it's going to be early next year when we're actually shipping them. It's like the X4, so you can get this. Well, the way this comes is as a standalone power supply that actually has a wall wart that runs it, but it's super dead quiet, high current from every output, all that stuff. It's pretty reasonably priced. It's absolutely tiny for an 8-out supply, and you can also use it as an expander. So with a PP3 or a 3 plus, this will add 8 isolated outputs to it.
So you can have your 12 output pedal power 3 plus and add 8 more.
And add 8 more, exactly. Actually, you can use 2 of these. So you could add 6.
So that's crazy.
Yeah, so that's crazy.
And useful. Very, very useful for me.
For some guys, it will be useful. And the other thing that we've just been so busy on other stuff, but they should be shipping soon. I think we started building them. I have a version of the X4 that instead of 4 isolated 9s, it's 2 9s and 2 18s.
Oh, cool. Oh, that's great.
So that's kind of neat. So if you have an 8 or 12 out supply and you need more stuff and you need some 18s and you don't want to use the voltage doubler cables to take 2 outputs because you're going to have 18s, then you can get the X4 18, or you can use it as a standalone power supply if you're a 18 volt nerd.
But how do you power the 15 volt radial pedals?
How do you do that? I don't know. How about you go inside, you yank out the stupid regulator because you don't need it, and because we provide clean power anyway, because they run on 12 internally.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, but that's not 15. Well.
So you could do it. I could do it. We could just modify it. Just bypass the regulator and run them on 12. I don't know. You know what? Sorry. Too bad. I don't do that. Buy another product. It's it's just one of those things that it's a lot of trouble to provide 15 for something that it's not that common. No, there was a time where we heard about it constantly, but that time was a long time ago. Mm-hmm. And it just seems to be mostly a dead issue. So figure something else out. Ooh, Tongue Talk, affiliate link. Yay.
I just had to bring up something to cause some grief.
That's so funny. Make sure you guys press subscribe and click the bell. All right.
Ding.
I think I've gone through all the questions, Josh. So I want to thank you for coming on, man. We've gone for almost 2.5 hours.
Did we really?
Yeah. And thank you so much for the wine.
It goes like by in a second.
Well, the funny thing is, it's like, you think about doing something like this, that seems like a really long time, but at the same time, when you consider that we've known each other for almost 30 years now. Yeah. And if we were hanging out, it wouldn't be anything, No.
Right. Like, half hour. It would go much further into the evening.
Yeah, exactly. We go hit Chiba. Yeah, I have not been to Chiba since I moved from LA. I haven't been to Chiba.
It's pretty
since
sad,
like
Josh.
98.
It's pretty sad.
I know.
So my first pandemic meal out was Chiba.
Really?
On my anniversary, where I messaged Shig on Facebook and said, because a couple weeks earlier I had been in there to pick some stuff up to go, because Tiki was in town, my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and we got sushi to eat at the house, And I went in and I saw him and I was talking to him for a minute, socially distanced, of course. and I noticed that he's got a big outdoor patio now, Yeah, exactly. He's got a big outdoor patio now outside. And yeah, I had that on. And then I was also like at least 6 feet away, or maybe 8 or 10. Anyway. I was looking at his outdoor patio and I'm like, there's a table like over by his bar in the corner outside at his outdoor patio. And I'm like going, now I'd eat at that table. Farthest corner, no one on any side of you except one. I'm like going, yeah, I'm good. So I messaged him when it came time for my anniversary. I messaged him and I go, hey, so it's my anniversary and blah, blah, blah. And I saw that table when I was in there the other day. At the corner right in front of your bar. I want that table. Can you hook that up? Reserve it. I go, I'll come anytime you want me to. When you open, great, no problem. Anytime. He's okay, 5 o'clock on Saturday. Great. Yeah.
He's a genius. He's a genius. I mean, I remember who was that we went with? Oh God, somebody named Dave who was a vegetarian. And we went there once with him. Anyway, it's just I just remember it's like you could go to Chiba as a vegetarian and not be the slightest bit disappointed.
Yeah.
The stuff he did is amazing. And I remember at least there's one place in San Francisco I've been to that just specialized in uni, and they had fabulous uni. But besides them.
In Santa Barbara?
No, this is there is a place in Santa Barbara. No, this is in San Francisco.
All the uni comes from Santa Barbara.
Oh yeah, of course. But in San Francisco, there's a place that there was like everything they did was uni. But I remember the uni that Shake had was just spectacular, and that's something that it's like when it's good, it's amazing, but it's usually not.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, I went there, had enjoyed my meal. First time taking the mask off and eating.
The funnel.
What is that?
The funnel was that's a funny product. The funnel was an automatic MIDI input select. This was back in the keyboard days, and so. What it was if you had then when people had the whole racks full of MIDI sound generators and they'd be doing sysx stuff with them and it was just routing back the data from them, the MIDI data. This is why I got away from keyboard stuff, because they're nerds, not always in a good way. But anyway, but it was just something I had been thinking about, and I think I must have had a dream about it. I remember it was actually at I remember where Hotel Zana at this place in Bad Homburg that I was staying at during the Frankfurt show, and I woke up at like 3 o'clock in the morning with this like, oh my God, I have the best idea, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and I like in bed, and I drew out the whole schematic for the thing. And we ended up and we made some of these things, and it was just too, it was like the three guys that really got it thought it was the coolest thing, but beyond that it was just too out there of a product, and the thing that's funny about the funnel was, okay, so I built a bunch of these things, nobody wanted them, and so I decided that we would have this promotion to sell them, and I called it Funnel Mania, and so I actually made all the sales calls myself for this thing, and I called like every one of our dealers, and I called them up, and the promotion was, no matter what you bought, you got a free funnel with it, And if you bought something expensive, you get like 2 funnels or 3 funnels. and do you remember Kay's music scene in the Valley? It was it was George K. I think Danny K was like his brother or something. Anyway, and I remember his K's music, and so I pitched was, look, man, they're like, what is it? Why do I even want it? I'm like, look, man, it's free. It's free. You sell it for whatever you want. You keep the money. It's free. It's great, And I sold out all the funnels with Funnel Mania, and then like 12 years later, I talked to one of the dealers, and he's like cursing me. I still got these goddamn funnels. What the hell?
Yeah, but they were free.
That's right. That was the answer. It's like, look, man, they were free.
That's hysterical. Oh my God. Our next guest is God. All right, Toast to the Bossy, I believe, on November 20th. I believe I'll confirm that with him this week. Lindy Fralin, December 4th.
Cool.
You may have Chris Shiflett from the Foo Fighters on December 18th. We'll confirm that soon enough. But he did message me. And then last question from Ruben Santiago. Do you still service DX7?
That's James, right?
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. James actually goes by his middle name. His first name is Ruben.
Okay. I was curious about the Santiago. That's funny.
Yeah, and so Ruben, the answer to that is the battery in the DX in the DX RAM is not replaceable. So no. Yeah. Yeah.
You should sell the funnel with the Proctavia.
Yeah. Come on, we still sell Proctavias. Proctavias are great.
Yeah,
that was one along the way. I went to a bigger core on the transformer, and that really did it. If you want an Octavia, they're great. So
awesome.
Yep, they are great.
Make sure you guys check out Voodoo Lab, check out Josh's site, buy at Sweetwater, and hope everybody has a great weekend. And thank you for tuning into the show. Josh, thanks so much for coming on, man. You for your first outing, you've outdone yourself. So,
well,
thank you.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to go back to my normally reclusive lifestyle out in the woods, and hopefully I won't see anyone for a while.
Well, thanks to
Oh my God, Deja Blue. Wait a minute, hold on. Deja Blue has a comment at the bottom of the thing. You should post it, Mark.
The Brown Eye Special.
B100 Proctavia instructions for the brown sound and the free funnel.
That's great.
He might win a T-shirt or something.
Yeah.
That's great. If I had more T-shirts, I would give one. But that's great.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys. Hang on. You too, Josh. Hang on one second while I
hang out for a second, Josh.
Everybody have a great weekend.